medical skeleton yesterday afternoon, and any update you can provide?
Yeah, I think Marty sent it out. He got a bit of a knock at the end of training, so he's just getting some extra medical work now.
Obviously, it's a long campaign. I know that it's still more detail to be found out, but do you think he's likely to play?
Oh, at this stage, he's still in the team.
Okay. What would it do if you were to lose your captain? How big a blow would it be?
We don't deal with the hypothetical.
Okay. 3 changes to the side. Nick White, can you just tell us a little bit about what he provides? Is it experience that you're after? Obviously, Isaac in line for his second test.
Yeah, no, we've got 2 good halfbacks to fill the 80 minutes. Nick will start and little Freddie will finish. And we think both of those will give us a good 80 minutes.
Nathan?
I know you don't want to deal in hypotheticals, but if Will is out, who do you look to sort of step up as a leader on Sunday?
You just answered your own question, mate. Well done.
Fair.
Just saved me answering your question.
Just on, a guy like James Slipper coming back to the side, a guy with so much World Cup experience. A couple of younger players have talked about how he was sort of telling him what to expect, what to sort of, deal with the World Cup nerves. How does he help you from a coach's perspective, just sort of rally the guys?
Yeah, it's like having a coach on the field.
Heidi, you've gone with Ben Donaldson again at the back after a great game against Georgia. What was the thinking there, and was there any consideration of Andrew Kellaway on the bench?
We've had a good look at all of those. Kell's been training well. Yeah, it's a difficult decision, but Dono played very well at fullback in the last game, kicked well, and we feel like we've got the necessary cover there.
And do you feel like that's Ben's best position? I know you said he's trained a lot of 15, but do you sort of see that as his jersey to lose now, and sort of that could be his spot moving forward?
Well, he has it for this game.
Morning, Ed. I guess coming into this pool, everyone thought the Wales game was going to be the biggest one. Do you see this as the biggest game of the pool, and if so, why?
Because it's our next game.
But in terms of challenges then, what additional challenges do Fiji present that maybe the other teams in the pool don't?
Well, they've got as we know, a brilliant ability to play counter-attacking rugby. And they've got pace and they've got precision. And that puts a different test to you.
Tony?
Hi Eddie, Nick Frost returns. Can you talk about what he's going to bring, but also the situation he's had with his injury? And Tom Pepper was saying the other day that he'd MacGyvered a solution to try and avoid it happening again. Can you give us any insight to that?
I don't know what MacGyver is, mate.
It's too hard to explain, so we'll move on from that. And just maybe then about Nick Frost and his injury, if he's has to do anything special, I guess, to get on the field for this one.
No, he's been training really well.
Christy? Sorry, Mark?
Eddie, on Saturday, you said you didn't want to talk too much about Fiji because of the success against Georgia, but 3 years ago you did say that Fiji would be the dark horse of this World Cup if they got their pathways right. Have they got those pathways right, and do you still believe that they are one of the dark horses for this Cup?
Yeah, well, they're a team of power. They got pace, and they showed that in the last 10 minutes against Wales.
And we haven't discussed Taniela's injury yet either. Can you give us any insight into how he's tracking?
Yeah, well, he's got a hamstring strain. We believe he'll be available in the next couple of weeks.
Sure. And some people might be asking what's going on at training. A couple of big injuries to big, important first-choice players. Is the strength and conditioning program being looked at, or is there an explanation why there's injuries in a big test week?
What big injuries?
Well, the hamstring to Taniela and calf yesterday to Wood?
Can't tell you, mate.
Dave, there could be obviously a couple of big changes to the forward pack. Does that sort of change your approach at all? And what sort of challenge do you see coming from the Fijians in that regard?
No, no changes. We've got our next man up approach here, so everyone's prepared. That's why we train so well together. Fiji, I think Eddie's covered it well. You know, the counter attack threat all across the park. They got world class players, so yeah, we need to be switched on Sunday.
Dave, are you the captain if Will's out?
Mate, it's all pretty new, so I'm fully expecting Will to be ready to go. So I've just found out this morning that yeah, he's pulled up a bit sore, so he's getting medical treatment, and we'll go from there. So
Dave, James is playing in an unfamiliar role, not one that he hasn't played before, but what do you think of him as a player and how he might adapt to that on a stage like this?
Oh, he wouldn't be there if he couldn't adapt. I think that's one of his strengths, his experience, and yeah, packed with him before last year at tight end, and he was spot on there. So fully expecting him to do the job well.
And can you talk a little about James's longevity? He's going to become the third Wallabies player to play in 4 tournaments. His career looked a bit down and out, I suppose, sort of 5 years ago, and yeah, the way that he's managed to, stay at the forefront of the game.
Yeah, look, it's a remarkable achievement to play in 4 World Cups, particularly as he started off as a tight head, then volunteered to go to loose head, and he's volunteering to go back to tight head. And it's a real testament to his courage, to his resilience, to how much he loves the game, and he loves playing for the Wallabies. And we think on Sunday he'll play a pretty big game for us.
There's one on this side there. Sorry, on.
Hi, Eddie. I wonder if I can ask a slightly broader question. As someone who's such a student of coaching, I wonder if you could say what you have been reading of late, or what your most recent influences are on the way you coach, and if possible, if it's not too broad, sort of where you feel rugby coaching is going.
I didn't think you liked me, mate. Hey? Why are you following me around?
Well, I think we've got a great relationship.
All right. Well, I might beg to differ on that. Well, I just think the game's evolving. You can see in this World Cup the game's evolving into this 30-second bouts of absolute power. Big people playing the game. Then you've got these 30-second bouts of power, then interspersed with a 2-minute burst of like soccer, football, where there's a lot of transition and you've got to be able to play really quickly. And I think it's really fascinating at the moment where the game will go next. The World Rugby have tried to make the game safer, but they've made it more powerful by having more stoppages in the game. And there's risks to that. There's risks when the game becomes more powerful. But I think this World Cup's going to be decided by who can win those power contests. But then it might be in one game, and particularly a game like Fiji, where there is a lot of counter-attacking, that it might be one of those football, soccer type episodes where there's a lot of transitional play. So I think the game's in a really fascinating spot, and coaching-wise, I think how you prepare S&C-wise for almost 2 different games is quite intriguing, and then how you get the players to have the skill set to be able to play this power game and at the same time be able to play an open transitional game.
Luke?
Eddie, you said there that World Rugby have made it, effectively more dangerous with these gaps. What would you do if you were in charge and had a blank slate?
Well, I didn't say that. You said that.
Okay, well, you said about the pauses in the game.
Yeah. Well,
What would you do if you had a...
Well, I've always said you need the game to be more continuous. I think, the average ball in play is 30 seconds, the average break in play is 70 seconds. So you encourage a power contest. I think we need more continuous play. I think our use of the TMO in rugby is fraught with danger. They were asking a referee in the grandstand to make decisions on a different angle on the game through video, and I think it's not making the game a better spectacle. I don't think it's making a better game for the players, and I think we're lucky because international rugby is so popular. Like, you look at it, Lille last night, 50,000 there to watch France play Uruguay. We play a practice game against France, there's 80,000 people there. International rugby is so popular, we could almost put anything on the field and people are still going to come because of the nationalism and the patriotism of the teams. But I think we need to improve the game. I think we really need to improve the game. I think at the end of this World Cup there'll be an opportunity to do that.
Just behind you, Luke, Tom.
Eddie, just to clarify, will you make a call on his availability today, or will you give him sort of right until kick-off to make a call on that?
Right up until kick-off, mate.
And just on the Fiji-Wales result, I haven't got your take on that. Was there anything in particular you noticed from that, given they're two key opponents for Australia at the World Cup?
Well, the only one we're worried about is Fiji.
And if there were one or two things you wanted to see from this Wallabies side this weekend, you've spoken about building throughout the tournament, what would they be?
Oh, well, when you play against Fiji, you'd always like to have a set-piece advantage, and we started the tournament off well in that area, so that's an area we'd like to keep growing in. And then, as I just spoke about, then our ability to win those power contests, and then if the game goes transitional, to be 2 steps ahead of Fiji, who are a good side in that area.
Eddie, what's the deciding factor between picking Jordan Ulesi over Matt Fessler, who's played the last few games off the bench at hooker?
Well, there's nothing really in it, mate. It's more of a gut feeling that I think Jordy will be suited for the Fiji game.
Can he help continue if you've got it, dominance at that set piece, particularly scrum? He's a bigger body, but I guess also one of the knocks on him in the past has been inaccuracy with the line out. How's he been working on that?
Yeah, no, he's really improved in that area.
So, Eddie, evolution's been talked about this press conference. How do you think the introduction of Fiji and Drua has sort of evolved how Fiji approach the game at a test level and maybe shoring up that set-piece game?
Yeah, no, really positive, mate.
That Wales-Fiji game, Wales are forced to make about 274 tackles, they completed 248 or so. Does defence kind of win this game, or is that placed more importance this week, knowing how much they like to use the ball?
Well, again, there's 2 sorts of games. One will be the power contest and one will be the transitional contest. The power contest will be interesting. They've got a big pack, very big pack, but we want to take them on in that area. And then the transitional, we've got to be 1 step ahead of them. 1 step ahead of them.
And is this the game that you kind of thrive as a coach when there's guys, a couple of injuries, and it's such a high stakes match? Is this the sort of thing that puts like hairs in the back of your back?
Well, we say a few more in my head, mate. No, we're well prepped for this game. We're looking forward to it.
Eddie, going back to talking about changes to the game, I remember you talking on very similar vein at the Coogee Bay Hotel when you brought England over a couple of years ago, and said you were going to meet with lots of other international coaches and discuss the way forward for that. Is anything come out of that, and should there be another avenue for...
Well, they don't want to know, mate.
Okay.
Is that the coaches?
Or World Rugby, you mean?
World Rugby.
They're not interested.